Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amarachi Jennifer. If you're a new subscriber, you're welcome. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for coming back for my video. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful and simple A-line dress with this trendy basket design on the sleeve. So if it is something you're interested in, please keep on watching. All you have to do is just watch this video to the end and you'll understand every bit of it. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I'll be doing is to fold my fabric into two. Then I'll measure the full length of my dress, which is 37 inches, and that is exactly what I have on my fabric. So I'll be marking my chest line at 8 inches and then my waistline at 16 inches. I will not be marking my hip line because this dress will not be needing a hip measurement. Okay, so I'll go ahead and extend the measurement and then I'll mark a line across. So when I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and measure my shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches. That is 14 divided by 2. So I'll measure it at the shoulder line, which is the top of my dress, and then I'll also measure the 7 inches on my chest line so that I can be able to get a straight line. Okay, so I connected the two lines together, and then I'll go ahead and mark out my neck width, which is 3 inches. Then I'll mark it and then I'll come down on the shoulder line by 1 inch. Then I'll connect it from the 3 inches neck width to the 1 inch I came down from on the shoulder line. Okay, so the next thing I'll be doing, I'm going to be measuring what I have left from the 1 inch I came down from to my chest line. Then I'll measure the midpoint. Then I'll go in by half of an inch. Then I'm going to go ahead and measure out my bust measurement, which is 37 inches. Then which is 9.5 when I divide it by 4. Sorry, 9. No, it's not up to 9.5, just 9.75. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect the 3 lines with my curve drill from the shoulder line to the mid measurement that I measured, then to my bust line. I'm going to join them together to form my armhole curve. Okay, you can see the way I did it. So after I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and add my 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Then I'll come down to the waistline and measure my waist measurement, which is 30 inches. When I divide it by 4, it's going to give me 7.5 inches. Then I'll mark it and then I'll add my extra 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so the next I'm going to be connecting it to my bust measurement, to the measurement I have on my bust line, like so. Then the next I'm going to come down to the end part of my fabric. Then I'll measure out the width, that's the wideness I want my A-line flare to be. So I'll measure it out, then I'll connect from my waistline to the point where I measured. So when I'm done with that, that will be all for the drafting part of this dress. Then I'll go ahead now and cut it out. So after I'm done cutting out the front part, then I'll go ahead and use it to cut out the back part of my dress. And then I also went ahead to add a zip allowance to my back part because I'm going to be adding a zip to it. So I added my zip allowance. Then the next I'm going to do is to cut the neck of my back piece. Then I'm going to come down by half of an inch because this is going to be a high neck dress. So I went down by half of an inch. Then I connected to the 3 inches I have earlier on my front piece. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So after I'm done with that, I went ahead to notch my zip allowance so that I can be able to identify it later. Okay, so the next I'm going to come down to the end part of my dress to give it that curve that is at the down part, so that the edges will not be too pointed, so I went in by 2.5 inch from the down part. I went up by 2.5 inch. Then I connected it from the center part to that place like a curve. You can see the way I'm doing it. Okay, if you don't have a curve, you can just use your free hand to do this. Then I went ahead to trim it out. So after I'm done with that, I'm going to separate the front from the back. So I separated the front from the back. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the middle part, okay, because the middle is going to have that design that is at the middle. So I'm going to be cutting that part out so that I can be able to have that space for the design. So I'm going to be measuring 2 inches from my center front. I'm going to be measuring 2 inches from the down. You can see how I'm doing it. I'll measure it up to my chest line. Then I'm going to be connecting it to the point where I have my neck width to the 3 inches. Okay, so I'm so sorry that part didn't show very well. So just measure 2 inches from the down part of your dress up to your chest line. Then you connect the line to your neck width that you have at your shoulder line. Just connect it to that plate. Then after I'm done with that, I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So after I'm done with that, that will be all for that part. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to fix my zipper, because this dress is not going to have a lining. So the next thing I'm going to do is to fix my zip. So I'm going to measure the length I want my zip to be, where I want it to stop. So I'm going to measure it from the neckline to the point where I want it to stop. Then I'll stitch from that point to the end of my fabric. Okay, I'll go ahead and stitch it now. So guys, I'm done stitching it and this is how it is. So the next I'm going to do now is to start fixing my zip, but first I'm going to hold it down with pin. So guys, while peeling down my zip, you just give a little space like 1/2 inch at the top of your dress. At the upper part, just leave a little space like 1/2 inch so that you can be able to stitch on it before you get to the point where the pin that is holding your zip is. Just give a space of 1/2 inch downwards so that you can be able to stitch across. Okay, don't worry, when I'm stitching on that part you understand it better. So I went ahead to pin it down to secure it. Then I went over to my sewing machine and stitched it down. So guys, I'm done fixing my zip and this is what it looks like. The next I'm going to do is to join my shoulder. So I'm going to be placing it like this, front side facing each other. I will join the shoulder, one part to the other side and one part to the other side. You can see the way I placed it. Just place it the normal way you place your joinings together. Then I will hold it down with pin, and then after that I'll go over to my sewing machine and stitch it down. So guys, I'm done joining my shoulder and this is what it looks like. So remember the 1/2 inch I told you to leave earlier at the neck part when you're joining the zip. So I'm going to hold it close to each other, just very close to each other. I'm going to pin it down with my pin. I'm doing it like this so that I can be able to measure it all the way around. Okay, I'm holding it down with my pin, so I place it very close to each other so that I can be able to measure it. Okay, you can see the way I did it. So the next I'm going to do is to measure from the down part of my center front. I'm going to measure it from the part that I cut out the 2 inches. Okay, you can see the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to measure it all from the down part all the way to the other part of the front piece. Okay, you can see the way I'm going about it. Just watch what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to measure it all round like this. So guys, I'm done measuring it and I have like 81 inches total. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut out the fabric I'm going to be using to make my design. So I'm going to be folding it this way so that I can be able to place it on my table. Okay, just fold it into two like this, just exactly the way I did it, so you can be able to cut it into two. You can be able to cut it double, because when I cut it once, the length is not going to be enough for what I have for my design. So I'm folding it like this so that when I cut it out, I'll have double of it. Okay, I just hope you understand what I'm doing. So remember what we cut out earlier from the center front was 2 inches. So if we are expanding it, it's going to be 4 inches. So I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch allowance for stitching, which will be making it 5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be measuring 5 inches all the way to this place, the width, which is 5 inches when I fold it like this. Okay, so that after stitching it, I will have 4 inches. So guys, I went ahead to cut it out and I opened it up. So I have 2 pieces of this. So I'm going to be joining it together like this so that I can be able to get my desired length. Okay, so guys, I stitched it up and I went ahead to use my iron to get the center part of the fabric. Okay, I placed it into two to get the center because I'll be stitching on it. So the next I'm going to do is to measure the length of my neck depth, like from the center fold of my fabric. I'm going to measure the depth I want my neck to be. So just look at the picture attached, you can see how to measure your neck depth. Okay, so I measured it, I have 26 inches. So I'm going to be dividing it by 2 because this is on a fold. I'm going to be dividing it by 2, which will be 13 inches. So I marked it. So from the 13 inches, I'm going to be stitching from the center, from that point to the end part of my fabric. Okay, so guys, I went ahead to stitch it the way I explained earlier. Then this is me turning it up, turning it around. You can see the way it is. Okay, just follow the way I did it to turn it. Just when you place it, use one side to fold to the other side. Okay, you can just watch what I'm doing, then you get it. So I went ahead to use my iron to iron it out smoothly. Okay, the next I'm going to be doing now is to attach it to my dress. So remember the neck, center of the neck, I asked you to hold down together with your pin earlier. So I'm going to start from there, from the center of my design. From that point I joined, so I used it to form my center. I'm going to be pinning it down to the center of my neck from the back part. Okay, you can see the way I'm doing it. So I used it to determine the center of my design. From that point I joined. Then I'll start from the center of my back, which is the part where I held the pin together. I used the pin to secure together. So I'll go ahead and pin it down from one side to the other end, and from the other side to the other end of my front piece. I just hope you're understanding what I'm doing. So guys, just follow exactly what I'm doing, you will get it perfectly. Okay, So guys, after I'm done pinning it down, the next thing I'm going to do is to head over to my sewing machine and sew all the way around the way I pinned it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and sew it right now. So guys, after I'm done sewing, this is what it looks like. Okay, you can see how neat it is. Okay, so the next I'm going to work on is the sleeve. I've already went ahead to cut out my sleeve. Okay, this is just a straight sleeve. I added extra allowance so that it can be big, so it can be big enough. Okay, so I came up from the end part of my sleeve by 4.5 inch, and then from the 4.5 inches I went up again by 2 inches. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and cut it out. This is what I'm going to be using to form that design you see at the sleeve. Okay, just go ahead and do exactly what I'm doing. So after I'm done cutting it out, I kept the other two pieces aside because I'll be needing them later. Then I used the 2 inches I cut out earlier to cut out my pattern. I just added 1/2 inch for stitching allowance. Okay, so after I'm done with that, I'm going to cut out the pieces that I'm going to be using to form that design. Okay, I just cut it out like a straight piece, and then I used it to form a bias. Okay, I went ahead to cut as much as I can because I don't know how much it's going to take. So I'm going to fold it in like this. You can see the way I'm folding it in, and use it to form something like a bias. So guys, I went ahead to stitch all of them, and this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to be doing right now, I'm going to start by placing it on the pattern to get exactly the length I have. Then I will cut it, and then I'll use it to cut out all the rest the same size. Okay, so after cutting it out, I use it to cut out all of them the same size. So guys, after I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to measure the width of my pattern paper. I have 2.5 inch, and then I'm just going to get the center point, and then I'll connect it into a straight line because I'll be stitching on it, so I have to make it visible. Okay, you can just see what I'm doing. So after I'm done with that, I marked it on the other side as well. So guys, I'm going to be showing you how to stitch this design. I'm going to be placing it on the center of the line I marked earlier, of the center of my pattern paper. Okay, just keep placing it very close to each other with little or no space at all. Just place them very close to each other like this, and make sure you are stitching on the center line. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Just keep your hands straight and stitch on the center line like this. Okay, so guys, when cutting your sleeve for this kind of design, please make sure you add extra inches to your normal sleeve length. Apart from the folding inches, make sure you add like 1 or 1.5 inch, because by the time you cut and join this design, you must have shortened the length of your sleeve. So while cutting the sleeve, make sure you add the allowance so that when you cut and join, you won't have to tamper with the length of your sleeve. Okay, so guys, I'm done with stitching it down, and that is the first part of making this design. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is to push one side to one side. Okay, just watch what I'm doing. Okay, it's very easy. Just the first one, when you push one to the right side, you push other to the left. Pushed one to the right, you push the other one to the left like this. You keep on separating it like this. When you sew one to the right side, you push the other one after it to the left side. Okay, just watch what I'm doing. Okay, you will understand it better. So you do it all the way to the end of your pattern paper. Okay, So after I'm done with that part, I went ahead to stitch the other side as well. You can see how it is. So that's all for the stitching part. Okay, the next thing I did is to remove the pattern paper, peel it out, just carefully pull out the pattern paper from the design. Okay, you can use any form of paper. Okay, if you don't have a pattern paper, you can also use a foolscap sheet for it. So this is how to do it. Okay, I went ahead to remove all the papers from the design. I also did the same thing on the other one. So after I'm done with that, I'm going to be joining it to my sleeve. So remember, from the part that I cut out, I'm going to be placing it in the middle, replacing that part I removed earlier. Okay, so I'm going to be stitching it down like this on top of the sleeve. When I stitch it down, one part to the longer side and one part to the smaller side. Okay, you can see the way I placed it. Just stitch on both sides. Okay, so guys, I went ahead to take it to my sewing machine and I stitched on it. I also went ahead to top stitch and then I folded the edge of my sleeve. Okay, you can see how neat it's looking. It's very simple, guys. Just do exactly the way I'm doing it. Okay, so after I'm done with that, the next I'm going to be doing is to attach my sleeve. I'm going to start from the shoulder line and then I place the center of my sleeve. You can see the way I'm doing it. Okay, I started from it, I pinned it down, then I went over to my sewing machine and joined it together. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to start marking out my measurement. So I'll mark out my bust measurement. Okay, I'm going to measure what I have from one end to the other. I'll mark out my bust, which is 18 and a half, that is 36 divided by 2. Okay, then what I have left, I'll divide it by 2. I have 3 inches, I divided it by 2, which is 1.5 inch from both sides. Okay, so I did the same thing on the waistline, marking out my waist measurement, which is 30 inches. Okay, when I divide it by 2, I have 15, and then what I have as well is also 3 inches. Then I divided it by 2 and I minused 1 inch from both sides. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect it from my bust line to the waistline, then I'll make the down part straight. Okay, so I'll do the same thing for the both sides and then I'll go ahead and stitch it down. So guys, after I'm done stitching it down, this is what it looks like, and that is all for the making of this dress. Okay, I also went ahead to fold the down part of my dress with just half of an inch, and then I'll go ahead and give it a very good press, okay, to smoothen it out. And that is all for this dress. So guys, if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, please. Thank you for watching, guys. See you in my next video. Bye.